With everyone wanting the Greninja SIR from Twilight Masquerade right now, it's no surprise that it is well over $100. In this video, I will be helping you find the best time to buy the Greninja and other top hits you love, such as the Carmine, Perrin, and Blood Moon Ursaluna. Whether you're looking to purchase these cards for your personal collection or looking to invest in singles, I will be giving you all the information you need to help you decide when to make the jump and purchase some of these amazing cards. With the new pull rate changes from the sets Twilight Masquerade and Temporal Forces, it's no surprise that we're seeing the big chase cards soar well above $100 right at release. Even months later, Temporal Forces still has the Raging Bolt and the Iron Crown sitting around $80. I know it can be a little intimidating when you see these prices skyrocket right off the bat. You're probably wondering, when is the right time to buy some of these cards? I know I personally love many of these cards and would love to add them to my collection. So today, I'm going to be helping you compare the data from Temporal Forces to understand how some of the cards in Twilight Masquerade are going to behave, so I can give you a good optimal timeline of when to buy these cards. Also, from previous Scarlet and Violet era sets such as Paldean Fates, there are cards such as the Charizard EX SIR, which is going to be behaving very similarly to how the Greninja is right now. We can use this data to understand when is the right time to buy these cards. So today, let's dig a little bit deeper on TCG Player and look at the data, and I will help you find the right time to buy these cards. Now that we're on TCG Player, let's go ahead and look at some of the individual top chases from Twilight Masquerade, see where they're at on the market, and predict when they're going to come down to their lows. So looking over here at the Greninja, I mean, such an amazing card, honestly, with the blades and the paint flying out. It's the terrestrialization. It makes it look like a bunch of paints flying everywhere. It really is a beautiful card. It took me a long time to kind of let it grow on me, because at first it was kind of hard to tell what was going on. But if you look at cards such as the Charizard from Paldean Fates, you got a similar theme going on here, and it really does emphasize the Scarlet and Violet era. So looking at this card, we can see that it's currently sitting at $170. The market price shows is $150, but the lowest available English copy is $160, $170. So what's this card going to do? So the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates acted the exact same way, just on a different time scale because of the pull rates. The Charizard started at 160, went up to 180, and started jumping down real fast. I think the Greninja is going to do that at its own pace, mainly because of how hard it is to pull. With the 1 in 86 pull rates, this Greninja card is so hard to come by, and so people are really overcharging for it, and if you give it enough time, it'll go down. Looking at the chart here, the lowest it went to is 118. Now, what does this tell us? It told us that at one point people were willing to pay $118 right at release for it, when everybody was pulling it and opening it and throwing on TCG Player. This is usually when you will notice the cards hit their ultimate low, if not a few months later as well. You'll see the same price. This is because so many packs get opened on release week, and people throw it on TCG Player quickly, want to undercut each other on the price, and so you'll see them hit pretty low values compared to where they skyrocket right after. So 118 is probably pretty close to where you're going to see the market low on the Greninja. Does that mean it'll be one of the top chases from Scarlet and Violet? Probably. You might even see it get down to 105 if people like the Charizard from Paldean Fates more, but this is a good indicator of where it's going to sit. Looking at the Carmine, we're going to see a very similar trend. And honestly, I mean, this is an awesome card. Out of all the trainers, this is my favorite card. I like the festival theme going on here. Yeah, the reflections on all the food. It's just such a cool card. But if you look at the market price, so the card started at $120. It dropped down to $82. And if you looked at the last sales on TCG Player, you'll actually notice on release week, people were actually paying down of $64 for it, which is way lower than what you're seeing on the market price history. Again, you will notice this trend where the card's market price a few months after release will hit the same as the release date when everybody floods the market with this card. So I would expect this card to go to 81 at the lowest, or I mean at the highest. I really think this card's going to go below that, because $65 was the market low on last solds. I would wait until you can get it for $75, $80. That's probably the best, most safe time to buy it, because it'll probably jump up soon after that. And you can see very similar trends with Temporal Forces. Looking at the Raging Bolt went down to $53 right at release day, jumped up, and then a month later went back down to $50, and then since then not hit that low in the past few months. This little connect, right here is kind of what you'll notice between a lot of sets. Now, I know it jumped up recently because of the card's playability, but if you see it go down again, it probably will not hit below this $50 mark again. Again, these cards are super hard to pull. Temporal Forces had the same tough pull rates as Twilight, so you're probably not going to see the card go below $50. Similar trend with the Carmine. The Iron Crown, you can notice the same trend that we're going to see with the Carmine. This was just going to just kind of corroborate what we're saying here. You see this card hit $55 right when the set released. 2 months later, 55 bucks again. So we're going to see something similar with Carmine. The card dropped to $81. It's going to do the same thing, hit that low, and then it's going to start pulling back up once people are not wanting to sell the card again. So looking at the pairing, one of probably the top chases from the entire set. Everybody wants this card with the Growlithe reflection in the camera. And you have the Growlithe illustration rare that goes along with it. It's a beautiful card. The colors are great. I think this card is going to do the same thing as the Carmine. So looking at this card, you see the low is $58, shot back up to $80, dropped. It's been kind of doing its own thing at first, went back up to $83. I was seeing people selling it for $100 on TCG Player. I think this card is going to be around this $58 low. So once this card hits about 58 bucks, maybe a little bit less with some leeway, because again, on latest sales, people were paying around 53, 54 for it. You'll probably see it get around there. That's the right time to buy, because you probably won't get it for lower than that on TCG Player. Once you see that low, it's a good time to buy it, because it'll probably start jumping back up. That'll save you a good 15, 20 bucks right there. So going on to the next card is where we start seeing a little bit of a different trend with some of these cards. Now I will say the Blood Moon Ursaluna was one of my favorite cards in this set. Probably my chase for the Pokemon SIRs. I love the Munchlax and the Teddy Ursas, the Cutie Flies, and it's just such a cool card. I like how the colors blend. But if you look at the market here, you'll see that it has since just tanked since release. It started off at $100 and it started dropping down significantly. Some cards just don't hit their lows right off the bat. Some cards are just overvalued right at the start because people are trying to make a buck when they pull it, and they start hitting their lows pretty quick. So this card is still dropping pretty significantly in price. This is the kind of card you probably want to wait another month and a half, see how far it gets down. I don't think it's going to be a sub $30 card. I think that because some of the cards, like the Teal Mask, are already down to $20, $25, I can't imagine this card would get as low as some of the masks. I just don't. So I think that $30 is probably the lowest you're going to get it. Just give it a little bit more time to drop, because people are still trying to understand, feel out how much they like this card. But 53 listings, that's a lot more than some of the other cards. If you look at the Carmine, 40, that's a little bit less, but the Greninja only has 26, which is definitely not helping its case with the current value of the Greninja. Moving on to the Lana's Aid, this is my wife's personal chase. Has some awesome Pokemon in it. I love it's not really chibi, but I love the animated look. It reminds me a lot of the Clive from Paldean Fates. This card again is like the Blood Moon, where it dropped really fast. It started off at 73, it's down to $30. These kinds of cards, when they tank that low like that, you got to give them a little bit more time to come down, but they probably won't come down too much. I would say this card is probably at most going to go down to 20, 25 bucks. So if you're comfortable with 30, snag it for 30. If you want to save $5, $10 maybe, give it another month. Other than that, these kinds of cards are pretty safe bets because they drop down pretty fast. The Kieran is kind of a similar situation. I like this card a lot. I think it goes well with the Carmine, with the whole festival theme. The Pikachus are obviously an awesome, nice touch in the back there too. But looking at the market price, it's currently $40. It started off at $45, jumped down to, or dropped to $32, back up to $40. So this card probably will see its way down a little bit. This card is probably not going to be less than some of the masks. $25, $30 is probably the lowest you're going to see this kind of card. With the current rebump of this price, you should probably give it another month and a half before you try to look at buying this card. Again, I don't think this card's going to go below 25 bucks. It's a very nice card. The trainers are probably some of the best cards in Twilight Masquerade, so just give it some time and we'll just see where it goes. Now the Eevee. The Eevee is probably a special case. I think this is obvious. It's a very popular Pokemon. The Ghastly, we saw similar things with Temporal. So with looking at the Ghastly, we saw the card drop right at release to $18, and it did kind of what we were talking about. It shot up real high, like 40 bucks, and then it slowly dropped back down to its low of $18. With this card, $25 was its low right at release. It jumped back up to 46, and it's starting to make its way come down. So do we think it's going to hit 25? It really could. That's because we see this trend all the time. But frankly, if you can snag this card for $30, I would just do it. Just wait until it gets down to around 30 bucks and grab it. It's not a bad deal at all. And the card will probably be worth a lot more down the road. And so if you don't grab it quickly, it'll probably shoot back up. The Ghastly did the same thing. The Ghastly dropped down to 15, and now it's well over 30 bucks. So whenever you see it get around 30, I'd probably grab it. the Hisuian Growlithe. Now this card is probably a buy right now, in my opinion. The card went up to $15 right at release. It's already down to $8. This card obviously pairs with the Perrin card, and it's just an awesome card, but this card's not going to go below $5, frankly. Out of all the illustration rares, this is probably one of the best. Nobody's going to be selling this for under $5, so if you want to wait just to save a few dollars, you can wait another month and probably get it for a little bit less, but the Growlithe at $8 is kind of an easy steal. I would just go ahead and get this card if you're looking to get it. Moving on to the Teal Mask Ogerpon. Now this is a little bit of another different situation too, because the Teal Mask is such a playable card. Everybody wants this for the special illustration rare for their deck. I don't think it's the nicest looking of the mask cards if I had to pick which one I like the most. But $41, it's significantly higher than any of the other three. It's $16 more than the second highest, which is the Wellspring. So $41 or $70 is where it started. Now it's down to $41. I would say this card's probably, depending on how long it stays, in the meta, it might not drop that much. Maybe $30. $30 if you can get it down to 30, that's probably a good buy. Other than that, if you're looking to get it for a little bit less, maybe wait down to 35 and go ahead and snag that card. Maybe give it another month, see what it does. But again, because everybody wants this for their decks, it's probably not going to be moving anytime soon. Moving on to the next card. So the Cornerstone and the Heart Flame we'll talk about together, because I think these have a very similar situation. So if you look at these cards, they start off real high but then dropped to $20. So $20 is really a very low price for a card that has a 1 in 86 pull rate for any SIR in this set. You're talking 1 in 900 cards, give or take, to pull any specific SIR in this set. So with these cards that are really not that popular, the Iron Boulder from Temporal Forces was very similar. It hits its $20 low right off the bat and kind of just sits there. I mean, these cards are probably not going to get much lower than this. $20 is a very fair price for a card that's so hard to pull, and people aren't just as interested in these cards, so they hit their lows real fast. So if you need these cards to finish a master set, or if you just like these cards, this is probably the best time to buy it. I mean, even if you wait a month, it's probably not going to move anywhere. And if it does, it's going to move around $2. So saving a quick $2 or just get the card you need now, probably just go ahead and grab it now. Moving on to the Wellspring. This is, in my opinion, the nicest mask SIR from the set. Currently valued at around $26. I personally think it's just because the artwork looks a little bit better than the Heart Flame and the Cornerstone. Again, I think a similar situation here. The card started off real high, dropped significantly right within weeks. So if this is the kind of card you need for your set, it's probably not going to drop down more than $3 or $4, maybe $5. So if you need it for your set, just go ahead and snag it. You're going to be talking pennies here. So go ahead and grab it now. Otherwise, wait a month. You might be able to save a quick $5 and use it towards another card you need from the set. Looking at the last card, it's going to be the same situation. So the Sinistra EX, it started off at 32, so it already was in valued high and dropped down to 20. You can sometimes snag it for as low as $18 here on TCG Player. This kind of card, again, if you need it for your master set, go ahead and buy it. For a card that's so hard to pull, it's not going to get much lower than $20 because there's still not a lot of them around. So $20 is probably the best price you're going to see a card like this go. I think this is a fair price it is not the worst card in the world. It's still a pretty cool looking card, but because of how hard it is to pull, it's just going to be valued pretty high. Alright everybody, that's going to be it for today. Let me know what your chase card is from Twilight Masquerade. This is the first video from the Professor Pullz YouTube channel as well, so let me know what you liked, didn't like, or want to see more of. If you like the close-up footage of the Twilight Masquerade SIRs, I can do more of those from future sets as well. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks everybody.